20 years. I've been playing fantasy football for 20 years. It's my 20th season playing. First time ever. I have no teams in the championship playoff bracket. Whether I had one team or my max of 6. First time ever. 20 years. Just my halftime adjustment. The show must go on. You heard it. 20 years. Been playing this game for 20 years. It's the first time that I do not have a single team in the playoffs. By far, my most unlucky and, to be fair, worst performance. It happens. The show must go on. Hopefully, some of you are alive and well. If you're here, say hello. Let me know. Another thing I want to talk about before I get into the top 10, so to speak, of week 14. If you've been watching Answers with Guests for the past few weeks, I was talking about basically pay attention to those teams that are still alive in the playoff hunt. There was 22, 23, 24, still really in it. Somehow, after last week, and this is just encompasses 2023, there are more teams now alive for the playoffs, a total of 30 teams out of 32 that can still make the NFL playoffs this season, whether it be injuries or the ridiculous. I mean, Answers by Guests, Rob and I, we are the poster children, coined the phrase, the ebbs and flows. This season has been like no other. And I feel like it's something that we kind of say, every season. Maybe this is just the trend. It's just going to get wackier and wackier. But, I mean, let's get into it. Let's switch up this background. Let's see what this one looks like. Ooh, we're in the ocean. Week 14. Answers by Guests. We got a comment here. Spencer, what's up, dude? Case in point, ABG3P, we were 14-14. If you were gambling, you are losing money. Not only my worst season ever as a fantasy football manager, but this was my first week. And what better way to cap off 2023 than with my worst ABG3P performance. We were hovering 67. We had 80, 50. 50 is unacceptable. Very unacceptable. But we're more than just that. And we talked about this. I posted something on the page. And we'll talk more about it in a few. But, 5 guys with your eyes. This was a raw bonus in July from Rob. And I broke a rule and doubled up back after week 11. And I said, this guy's coming off IR. You got to grab him. 2 weeks ago, he got his first real burn. Looked really good. And then last week, this is what Yahoo, Fantasy Pros, CBS, ESPN, just what they're telling you to do. We had you doing it. We'll talk more about them later. The Cowboys, we've been talking about on Answers with Guests for a few weeks. We called them beating Philly. That was kind of a layup. They look real. I think it's going to be between them and the Niners coming out of the NFC. I'm a fan. I'm becoming a fan. That's 3 Tommy DeVitos, Goodfellas, 3 of them. That's 3 games now. where he's looked the part. They're going to have a high draft pick. Maybe not. They keep winning games. It won't be super high. Maybe they go after a quarterback, but I mean, we saw the crash and burn of Josh Dobbs. We see this. Will we see it with Jake Browning? We talked about how Rob and I was a ABG 3P show. And I was kind of like, Jake Browning's not too bad. He's been in the league a couple of years. I think that they'll be all right. I didn't think he'd be this good. He was better 2 weeks ago than he was this week, but he was good enough playing against the defense that we knew he'd have success against with the Colts on the road. But DeVito looks the part, man. He's got wheels. A couple of those throws last night. And I was this close to taking the Giants against my Packers. The Giants always beat the Packers. But I got to say, Tommy DeVito, I'm becoming a fan. Ingram, we talked about we said sooner or later he's going to score a touchdown. He's going to go on a big roll to end the season. It's what he did last year. Let's say he probably does again this year because he was so quiet. Touchdown 2 weeks ago, 2 touchdowns last week. This is Evan Ingram time. Number 10. It's getting annoying. I mean, we love the ebbs and flows. We catch the ebbs and flows, but this isn't even ebbs and flows. This is a yo-yo. As soon as you think you're going to grab it, gone. And that's why this is my halftime adjustment. 20 years in, always having a playoff team, not having one this year. We got to go back to the drawing board and figure this one out, because if this is how the NFL is going to be, I've got a lot of homework to do this offseason. Because after this week, and it's not so much me, I can deal with myself losing, as I said. 19 years, this is year 20. The first 19, I always had at least one team in the playoffs. I didn't win 19 championships. I got them up on the wall. I mean, I got 8 of them. But what pisses me off more is giving bad advice, giving bad calls, and bad calls that shouldn't have been bad calls. And I talked about an ABG 3P, Saturday night with Rob. You can listen to anything. You can watch anything. You can read anything. Nobody. And I don't want to lump myself with them because A, I'm not an expert. B, I don't get paid to do this. And C, we always say the answer to my guess is the inside scoop from outside the box. We do things differently. But now I'm in the same boat as those guys this year. That's how I feel. I feel that we are in the same boat in 2023 as all the other schmucks out there. Only difference is they're cashing checks. But you're all here and you're part of the Answers by Guest family. And I want to give something better. So I've got work to do. Because an ABG league member called me out. And it's funny because I was thinking about it before he even said it. And he wasn't really calling me out, but he was just like, he had some ideas for next season that we might roll with. But I was thinking about it before he even said anything. This year has been a disappointment to me. And I hope not as much to you. I hope some of you are still winning. This year is like nothing I've ever seen. It's absolutely ridiculous. The amount of quarterbacks have gone down. Quarterback scoring is down. Players that should be doing something are doing nothing. Players with layup games are doing nothing. Players in games where they shouldn't. All stats, trends, everything, gut feelings point to them not doing well. They do well. Something's got to give. As I said one last time, this is my halftime adjustment right here. Year 20, me not making the playoffs for the first time in my 20-year career, and me being 14-14 on ABG 3P is disgusting. And we got to fix that. I saw a couple of people post this ABG chat. I already made this. What I said was that the Chiefs, if you watched the shows, either one last week, they are relying on the refs to win games. They're getting behind and they're hoping for a call to help them. In these past couple weeks, the calls have not gone their way. They have lost. Mahomes cried like a baby. He apologized today, but he was offsides. I mean, it's not this egregious. I mean, the one on the right's my favorite, but he was offsides. And they're not getting the calls. And so many people say, oh, the Chiefs, they get all the calls. Oh, the Eagles, they get all the calls. Well, no. And those teams have been losing the past few games. They're not getting the calls. And these teams that are relying on this are in trouble. They've got to figure it out. Like me. They need a halftime adjustment. Dude's unhuman. Had to use this pick. Glowing like Superman. Unhuman. Saturday night, I made the comment of people are saying he's going to play. I don't see how they should sit him. They're going against Cleveland. I can't see how they roll him out there. He didn't look like anything was wrong with him. Anything. Toe-to-toe against what I think is the number one defense in the league. If they had a better offense, they'd probably be unstoppable. Toe-to-toe. He looked fine. Unhuman. High ankle sprain, comes back the next week. Plays on the road. Goes toe-to-toe. Unhuman. The heck was this? What was this game? I thought this game would have some scoring. Relatively soft defenses that are kind of good going against relatively terrible quarterbacks that are kind of good. Some skilled players at receiver, at running back. See in the bottom left-hand corner, it said live. I wrote dead. This game was terrible. Just when I thought it couldn't get any worse. This is 2023. We had, what was this? We had 6-0 with the Chargers the week before, I think, against the Patriots. I thought that would be the worst game I've ever seen. I said, I'm not even going to rewatch it. I'm not even going to learn anything about it. I don't care. This. What was this? I feel bad for anybody that didn't have Red Zone or DirecTV or streaming, whether they're pirating it and lived in these areas and had to watch this game. What a gross game. And we'll talk about both the running backs in this game. You had punts, fumbles, people getting hurt, drop passes, penalties, nothing. 3-0 at the very end. We'll talk about those two running backs because somebody made a comment that I'm going to address. This is annoying. This is 2023. Foreman's the guy because the other two are injured. Foreman gets injured. Khalil Herbert's back. Roschon's the lead back. What? Okay. Roschon's the lead back. Nope. No touches. None. Maybe one. Nothing. 0 points. Terrible. Are you kidding? I think Foreman's the lead. But who the hell knows? Next week could be Herbert or Roschon again. Yo-yo. Annoying. Singletary's playing well. Pierce comes back. Pierce is the lead back. Okay. Nope. Singletary. What? What? You can't make this up. You can't forecast that. The trend said Pierce was the guy. Nope. Nothing. Nope. Annoying. Annoying. Coach gets fired. We're going to let Bryce Young throw the ball. Chuba's the guy. We like to use him. Nope. Except if we're down 28 points. We're down 28. We'll run the ball. Mingo, 6 targets, first half. Drops everyone or bad throw. Mingo was trending up. This team, annoying. In this is 2023 in a nutshell. Matt Stafford had not played well, let alone won a game outdoors in bad weather since 2017. Damn near beat the Ravens. Cooper Kupp's back alive? What? Puka made an amazing catch. Puka was playing lights out. Demarcus Robinson comes out of nowhere again. Remember him, ABG family? How much I loved him back in 2017 and 18? Seasons 1 and 2, I think. Loved him. Kansas City never used him. Bounced around. Now he's on the Rams. Touchdown. One of the best receivers of the week. Top, I think, 14, 15. What? Why? Matt Stafford had no business playing well in this game. He hadn't done it pretty much his whole career, at least the second half. Against the Ravens, on the road, in the rain, in the wind. Killed it. The good. Said we didn't like any of the Texans. We didn't like Stroud. We didn't like Collins. Brevin Jordan was somebody if you needed a tight end, and he was actually the leading receiver for the team. That Jets defense. How about Zachy boy? Zach. Talk about him in a minute. Colts defense on the road, not good. At home, they're pretty good. That Bears defense. I'm telling you all, if you did not watch AB3 on 3 p.m. on Saturday night, next season, the Bears, unless everybody else catches on to this, because everybody just goes off of rankings. Right? There's people that pop on here, they pop on YouTube or pop on if they're part of the page or the group on Facebook. What are your rankings? What is this? What is this? Don't mess with that too much, but because everybody wants to see a ranking. If people catch on to the Bears, they will be in the top 8 in the preseason. If they don't catch on to the Bears don't need to make any additions through the draft, whatever, that's fine. If they sign a free agent, big name defensive player, people are going to catch on. If they don't, you need to know the Bears are who you grab for defense next year. They're gelling. The rush defense is great. The pass defense is getting better each and every week. If Fields stabilizes himself, or if they draft somebody in trade Fields and the offense stays at least where it's at, I think they're the steal next year. The Bears defense, laughing stock for so long. We talked about that in Golf on the Road. Hey, the good to the better. My boy Zach. Had to put him in there. 5 guys for your eyes. Talked about him, Demarcus Robinson. Listen, we're week 14. I can't double up. I did one time. I stole a Rob bonus. I threw him in. That was Chase Brown, week 11. Because you had to get him then. And I want to talk about that real quick before we go. I'll talk about it when we get to it. Talk about Chase Brown when we get to him. Demarcus Robinson. David Bell only had the 1 catch, but he's somebody. He was a rookie last year, and I felt like he never really got a chance. Still really doesn't have a chance. Cooper's been in and out, banged up. Just somebody. We're in week 14. I can't double up. These names are thin. Amir Abdullah, right? We're going to talk a little bit about Zamir White because somebody asked a question or a comment about him. Zamir White, we gave you over the summer, can't give you him. But Amir Abdullah, I can. Easton Stick, with Herbert out for the season. Los Angeles Chargers, San Diego Charger fans been waiting for Easton Stick for a long time. Let's see. And my boy, Tommy DeVito, I'm a fan. I texted Rob. I said, I'm a fan. I am habitually a Giants hater. I typically dislike just about everyone in the Giants, mostly because I live in the greater New York area. And even when I lived upstate in Syracuse, Giants fans are just annoying to me. It's kind of why I dislike the Yankees so much as well. Sorry, Rob. But so I just didn't like the Giants. The Giants always beat Green Bay as well, so that kind of pisses me off. But I kind of like DeVito. I don't dislike many players on their team now as much as I used to. Tommy DeVito, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to last. These guys aren't lasting. Dobbs, we'll see about Browning. But he looked good to me last night. On point, 3 weeks in a row now. So let's see. If you're sucking at quarterback, which so many of us are, there's two. Oh, Spencer. Questions from the group. There he is. This is the Spencer hour. He is a first round bye. Good job. You lost Herbert and Stroud. A couple people did. You always type quarterback. I made a joke about it with Rob on ABG 3P. Is the R button broken? I'm looking. Did you write an R anywhere? You did. Lawrence in first round. Okay. I don't know. I always just mention it. No offense. Just making fun. All right. And you wrote it again. Which quarterback is the pickup? I'm looking at, Lawrence. His matchup next week is not great, but he's the best one on the list. If you don't want to go with him, you got to go with Sam Howell, I think. Other than that, you could try the Browning experiment, but people that are doing that don't have Trevor Lawrence. Somebody dropped Trevor Lawrence last week because they thought he was going to be out for a while, which is clear. And he's not. So I'm picking up him because I think he's the safest option. He's at home. He's against Baltimore. But like you said, week 16 and 17, you don't need him this week. You have a bye. So Trevor Lawrence is who you grab. There's no question. You lost Herbert in this league too. You got a first round bye. Worth picking anyone up. I know you said Brown might be a choice. Zamir White is in waivers. I'll talk about Zamir White in a second. I like Zamir White. He was a 5 guy for your eye over the summer. I really liked him coming in. He has not looked good. He was given ample opportunities early on. Did not look good when Jacobs was getting his feet under him. And I got a feeling it's going to be, at best, a 50-50 split with Amir Abdullah. And Abdullah is certainly probably going to be the third down guy. But Zamir White has a ton of talent. He wouldn't have been a 5 guy for your eye if I didn't believe in the talent. Just hasn't looked the part. So I would go Chase Brown over him because at least I know he has a third down role. I'll talk more about him in a second. So that would be it. And I don't know if Ty Chandler's available, but he's another one out there. Somebody probably picked him up weeks ago. They should have. You have Keenan Allen and Nico Jacobs all hurt. It's making you scramble. If you only, who are you dropping? Chase Brown, sure. Wandale, maybe. Looked really good. DeVito likes him. So maybe those two are the best out of that list there. Hope that helps, Spencer. Scott. Oh, you got Chandler. Perfect. So you got somebody right in that list. You got 4 questions. I don't believe any of these have anything because I believe it's the Chargers and the Raiders on Thursday. So I can give you an answer on a Tuesday, Scott. I know you're watching. I think you're watching. You're usually watching, or you'll watch back in a few, and you'll probably comment, and I'll write back to you. But none of these guys are in the Thursday game, so there's nothing pertinent. But I think I would go Mayfield. He's still playing well, and we saw what DeVito did to Green Bay. I said I didn't believe in the defense. We were talking about when Green Bay beat Kansas City. I said they played lights out. They were up for the game. I still don't believe in the defense. We saw it last night. And first off, I said this earlier in the year. The 2 Monday night games, I kind of dislike it. I know that there's 8 1:00 games and 4 4:00, but I'm watching Red Zone. The 2 Monday night are not in one's the Red Zone. I could split the screen. I could sit in the man cave, have 2 TVs on. But I really want to watch. And I was watching Green Bay, and I feel like I missed a really good one. I heard a lot about it. I'm going to rewatch that game because I haven't seen a second of it. Saw the end when Miami basically blew a 14-point lead. But I'm going to rewatch that game because I feel like we're going to have a lot of things to talk about. Well, not rewatch, watch, because I didn't even get to watch it. But I don't like that. And in a couple of weeks, we have 3 Monday night games. Or is it 3 Monday games? I have to look. There might be 1, 4, and then 8. But I don't know. 2 at the same time. I felt like I missed some good stuff. So I'm excited that I have a routine of going through and re-looking at these games. Browning or Flacco. I think I'd ride the hot hand with Browning. Flacco looks just fine, but I like that Chicago defense. Flowers versus Jacks looks really nice. New England might look to take out Rice. Maybe Belichick is thinking that Kelsey sort of lost a step and he shifts his defense to the best wide receiver, the only wide receiver with a brain for Kansas City. I do think Mahomes is going to be pissed, but I think Flowers might be a little more needed. And he finally had he had a terrible game up until the end when they needed him most. So I'll probably go Flowers there on a Tuesday. And Addison, Ridley, or Doubs. I'll go Ridley. He didn't do much last week. I'll go Ridley. Let's ask these questions again, Scott. By the way, it's probably going to be a Saturday morning show. So stay tuned. All right, so here it is. Post I made about Chase Brown, talking about, all the people, the experts that get paid. Week 15. He's the first one. He's on all their headlines. It might have changed as the day went on. This was just something I was like, okay, week 14's over. Let me just see. All I saw was Chase Brown, picture. I showed you before. I said, just go look. This is what they're saying. Like, we are the inside scoop from outside the box. We're always a step ahead. This is what it is. Whether or not things have been as predictable or premonitioned by us as well, we are making the calls of the guys to grab weeks ahead of people still. But Michael said he's not the top RB worth grabbing this week. That's a fair enough point. He says that belongs to Tyson Chandler. Well, Ty Chandler was also a 5 guy for your eye before he was, along with Zamir White, who he talks to. But I think I'd rather have Chase Brown in this instance. Dynasty leagues. If you're in a dynasty league, especially, Mixon's probably not going to be with the team next year. I believe this is last year in the contract. Chase Brown, you want who he reminds me of? And Mixon is not the guy. Mixon is not LaDainian Tomlinson. Right? Or he's not that top. He's had games. But early Austin Eckler. That's who Chase Brown reminds me of right now. Early Austin Eckler. A game changer. Somebody that gets in and busts one like you saw last week. He could take a pounding, a little punitive, a little smaller, but packs a punch. And it's sort of like you're catching lightning in a bottle if it's a dynasty league, because I do think that Chase Brown is going to be the number 1 for Cincinnati next year. I think Mixon's going to move on to another team. If I am correct, his contract is up. Maybe Darko's here and he can fill me in on that, but I believe this is last year in his contract. This season, here's why I put Chase Brown still a little ahead of Ty Chandler. If Nick Mullins can come in and be Nick Mullins without Justin Jefferson, Nick Mullins of 5 years ago, when he came in and basically created George Kittle and played okay for the Niners when they had a terrible rebuilding team, then Ty Chandler's going to have a spot. You got Kene Nwangwu, my boy, finally got some burn last week. Ty's the guy, but I'm going to put Chase a little above him just because I think he's playing for a better offense. He has better weapons around him. Browning is showing he's a better quarterback than Nick Mullins. He's a better quarterback than Aiden O'Connell for the Zamir White aspect. They just have better weapons, better offense. Dare I say the Bengals also maybe have a better defense. Minnesota's okay, but the best defense is a good offense. So I'm still kind of, myself personally, I would rather pick up Chase than Tyson Chandler. But it doesn't matter because all three of these guys we told you to pick up in July, all three of them, and talked about them as the season went on. But if I wanted to give you a grain of salt, Michael, I would say Ty could be one, but it's not Zamir. He hasn't shown it. I loved him going into the season. He hasn't shown it. Mikey wants to know, is he worth dropping Josh Downs to pick him up? You have Reed and Beckham. You could probably do that. Give yourself a little running back depth. Sure. Thoughts on him each week going forward? I think his role's growing. We saw 2 weeks ago he finally got his first burn, week 13. We said pick him up before week 12. Week 13, got his first burn, looked really good. Last week, had his breakout game. I think going forward, you're just going to continue to see him a little more because, as Darko says here, I'll throw it up on the screen. Bye, Slow Joe. I think Mixon's gone. I think this is last year on his contract, and they want to continue to see what they have in Chase Brown. That's what I said long ago. They've been looking for a third down back. They used Perine for years. They drafted Chris Evans because they didn't really love what they had with Perine. He was serviceable. Chris Evans never amounted to much. They drafted Chase Brown, and he's finally got off IR. So thoughts on him each week going forward? He's going to be somebody you pick up for depth, as most of our 5 guys for your eyes are. He's still in that boat. If your running backs are dead, like pretty much the majority of mine are, he's serviceable as an RB2. Josue had him and he dropped him because you picked him up when we told you to after week 11. He did nothing in week 12, and you dropped him. And then he came back week 13, had a pretty good game. And week 14, now everybody knows his name. Tiffany said, and I think you're Dawn. Are you Dawn? I need to know. Tiffany, Dawn, are you the same person? I think you are. And if you're not, you must be best friends. Because I swear in the picture, you look like Dawn. Correct me if I'm wrong. I do believe he was a 5 guys for your eyes. He was a raw bonus, is what he was. And that's why I broke a rule and I double dipped. Next. Chris wants to know he needs to drop a defense, Jets or Ravens. His playoff weeks are 16, 17, and 18. Needs a QB because of Stroud's injury concerns. All right, so I didn't take that into effect when I was thinking about this question for you because the Ravens have the best matchup this week. But the Jets are better in week 16. The Jets are better in week 17. Didn't even look at 18. I'm going to look at 18. Jets are going against the Patriots. I really don't even need to take a look. I mean, Ravens are going against Pittsburgh. I think that you have to drop the Ravens, which is crazy. If you can't drop any other defense, I think the Jets have better matchups. If Zach, my boy, can continue to play well, if they can continue to protect him, their offense will be good enough, as we saw last week, to beat pretty decent teams like they did with Houston. I know they knocked Stroud out. I know there was no Dell, but we've seen it throughout the season. They went toe-to-toe with the Chiefs when the Chiefs were actually playing well. The Ravens are the better defense in the sense of they have the better offense, and the best defense is a good offense. But I think matchups-wise, I think the Jets are probably better for those final 3 weeks. If you could keep them both. But if you don't want to keep 2, give somebody else the Ravens, and hopefully they have at least one bad week and somebody else messes up because of it. So let's see. We got some live questions here. Don't want to say everything. Let's see what Darko had to say. He said, I think the Bills shocked the Cowboys. Wouldn't doubt it. Bills are playing, you know what they're playing? They're playing a style of offense that is reckless and in a good way. I think that they're at a point where what were they? They were 5-8, something like that. And whatever it was, I could be way off, but thinking, are they 6-8 now? Maybe flipped. Anyways, where they had nothing left to lose. I mean, Diggs is pissed off there, but they played in a manner that they had nothing left to lose. They went out against the Chiefs how I thought they would. We are just going to go balls to the wall, and we're just going to let Josh Allen do what Josh Allen does. And I think that is the best style of football, almost like they used to do with Brett Favre, the Packers. He might throw some picks. He might throw a couple bad throws, but he's going to game it like he's in the backyard. And that might be the way that you have to beat the teams like the Cowboys and the Niners, who look like the two best teams in football at this point. The Chiefs were the Bills' kryptonite, yeah, and they overtook them, so they're flying high with confidence. I agree with you. Spencer loved watching Mahomes cry, and he agrees with me that a lot of things are quite annoying. Rob is happy for his Jets. Spencer's a Giants and a Yankees fan, so I'm sorry for you, Spencer. He has Chandler. This was about other stuff. He could drop Roschon. You could probably do that. I answered that question. I had that up here for you, Mikey. So yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. With your backup wide receivers that you have. Rob says, drop Herbert for Brown. Too many in Chicago. It's just annoying. It's just annoying. 2 weeks ago, we think it's going to be Herbert, and it's all Roschon. So we're like, okay, Roschon's going to be the guy. Well, now Foreman's healthy. It's Foreman. It's a three-headed monster. Who knows what's going to happen this week? Chase Brown is their third down guy who's going to mix in on first and second for Mixon a couple times. I would take a shot on him. If Herbert's the worst you can drop, you know how this goes, Rob. But I think that's fine. I think that's fine. You're not guessing with Chase Brown. He's a player who's ascending, a rookie who they drafted to overtake Mixon because I am correct that this is Mixon's last year in Cincinnati. I thought it was his last contract year. I think he's gone. In a dynasty, Chase Brown is who you want right now. If you are still allowed to do trades, you're probably 2 weeks behind. Back after week 11, when I reiterated that he's off IR, you need to go get him. That was the time to get him. But I'd be still hunting him. He's going to be the running back for Cincinnati next year. And for the rest of this season, I would rather take a shot with Brown if I had to than guess with one of the Bears running backs. Dylan says, what up? You made the playoffs. Tough opponent this week. Got a bunch of start. All right. So, Dylan, not sure if you've ever been with us before, but I see you're on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. We have a very nice family. Still trying to grow more, but well over 300 people on Facebook. I don't know if you partake, but we got a group. Join the group. Feel like I may have seen your name before, but not sure. But I do want to let you know it is Tuesday night, and we do an ABG 3P full game show every weekend, Friday nights, Saturday nights. This one might be Saturday morning. I'll go through these. I'll try and give the best answers, but a Tuesday answer, a lot can change. So I'll get to yours after I get through these. I think I'm going to keep my waiver next week. Yeah, this is smart. You got a high waiver priority, just keep it. All right, Dylan, here we go. Number one, likely at Jackson McBride versus San Francisco. I, You know what? I'm going to go McBride because I think he's the best wide receiver that they have. We'll see if Michael Wilson comes back this week because Kyler did like to throw to Wilson. He's been out for the past few. Um, we'll see. I'm going to go McBride on a Tuesday. Likely looked fine. I do think that Lawrence and Jacksonville, because they're at home, he'll be another week healthier. He's Superman. We saw it last week. They'll be pretty good. Baltimore will have to throw, but they do like to run. Their defense is good. So this could be a little bit of a slower game where I feel like San Francisco is going to be able to do whatever the hell they want against Arizona. You can throw on San Francisco. They're much tougher against the run. And McBride is that dude. And he was a 5 guy for your eye in the preseason. We talked about him all year last year as well. I'm glad to see he's doing it. I would ride with McBride. Start 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 1 flex. All right, so we need 5 total guys out of this. Cook against Dallas, Mixon against Minnesota, Pollard against Buffalo, Spears, Diggs, Ayuk, Brown, Reed, Downs. All right, so 2 running backs. I'm definitely playing Pollard at Buffalo. Buffalo can be run on. Chiefs didn't really try to do too much because they had CEH, and he is basically like a walking skeleton at this point. We did get a little McKinnon in there. I felt like we would see McKinnon. I thought we'd see more, but Chiefs they're out of sorts. So I'm going Pollard. If they continue to use Cook the way they're doing it, I think I'll go Cook Pollard. I might end up flexing one of the other 2 running backs. Let's see. Diggs versus Dallas. I think Diggs is going to have some fun this week. So let's do Diggs. Let's do Ayuk. Now we're going to flex Reed. So I'm going on a Tuesday. Cook, Pollard, Diggs, Ayuk, and Reed. Reed looks great. Well, I said it early on. It's not the stature, it's the style and the way he started off slow and now he's starting to come on. Reminds me of Devontae Adams' rookie year. I'm a big Packer fan, Dylan, if you didn't know that. And when Devontae Adams came in the league, it was a little rough in the beginning, but weeks 4 or 5 started to roll around. He started to roll around. He slides around just like him. Baltimore defense at Jacks or Green Bay at Tampa Bay. This one's tough because I just said I feel like Jacksonville at home, they're going to be up for this game. Baltimore defense is better. I don't trust the Green Bay defense. They are, I believe, at home, if I'm not mistaken, against Tampa Bay. I got to look. They do play better there. Let me just see. They are at home. And it's Baker. I love Baker, but I might go Green Bay here. I might go Green Bay. I don't know if they can stop Mike Evans. I wonder if there's a third defense out there for you to swap them for. Maybe you can join in when we go live. I think it's going to be Saturday morning for ABG3P. If you subscribe on YouTube, you'll get notified. Click the notifications bell as well. I'd like to see if you have a different defense available. You can maybe list them here. But I'm going to go Green Bay, and I don't love it because I don't trust their defense. I said it last week after the Kansas City game. I still don't trust the defense. And we saw DeVito last night pretty much carve them up on back-to-back-to-back drives. And if it wasn't for that Saquon fumble, I mean, they were going to put that game away before those last 2 drives even happened. Who do I have this week? Stroud doesn't play. Man, the recency would have somebody saying Levis, but I've seen enough where I'm not convinced. DeVito, I wish he was at home. But with no Lattimore, their offense is starting to come alive. I'd love to back Zach, my boy. But Miami's going to be a little pissed off, I think, as well. If that game was in New York, I think you'd have a better shot. Gosh, it feels so gross, but I think I'm going to go with DeVito. He passed the eye test. The first week, I was like, okay, that should have been Jacob Eason doing that to Washington. Then the second week he did, I was like, he's got a little game to him. And then last night, he just looked, his balls were on point. He's running the ball. I think he had over 70 yards rushing. You're getting a little bit of a cheat code if he's running the ball. I know New Orleans is tough to run against, but in the dome, I might go with DeVito here. I think on a Tuesday, that's what I'm going to do. Well, try him. See if you can get Chase Brown. If you can't, then you can't. Connor or Ford or Single. You can't trust Singletary. You can't. Connor. Man. These are tough, man. These are the best three you have for your RB2. I don't know, because I feel like going against San Francisco, I think we're going to see the first big Michael Carter game. I don't know if that means he's going to do something big, but he's going to get his first big usage. They finally got him in week 13 before the bye. He looked pretty decent. He looked pretty decent for the Jets whenever they needed him. They need a third down guy. Connor's another guy walking around like a skeleton of himself. So it's not like he's a workhorse. Ford, if he misses time, it's going to be Strong and Hunt. They could use him, but that Chicago rush defense is pretty good. And Singletary, I don't know. Plus, the Tennessee defense is so tough. If I had to choose one right now, I'm picking Connor. Allen without Herbert, or play Beckham or Reed. Again, I hope all of you join in. We could use the viewership on Saturday. Rob's telling me a time, but I'm not going to look at my phone now, so maybe you can come on here and clarify. Saturday morning, ask these questions again. I think Allen without Herbert, Easton Stick can find him. I do like Beckham going against Jacksonville. And I do like Reed going against Tampa Bay. I think your safest here, because of the quarterback situation, is probably Reed. Because Beckham is number 2 on the team, even though he's had some pretty big games over the past 6. But I think Allen is the right play. I think you play Allen on Thursday. I really do. I think Easton Stick is going to be good enough against the Raiders that I'm going to play Allen, because I'm not going to sit one of the most consistent wide receivers this year. In a year, this whole show's been talking about it. That's been ridiculous, like a yo-yo, ebbs and flows, like we don't even know. I think Easton Stick will be just fine. I really do against the Raiders. So I'm going to go with Allen. Herbert, Hunter, Shaheed are the options to drop. Yeah. Shaheed would be my first to go, just in case. Because if one or two of the Browns or Bears go down again, Herbert's out there. And Hunt might be the one this week. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for the vote of confidence. I mean, like I said, this is my 20th year playing fantasy football. First year ever. And I only had one team in the first few years that I have 0 teams in the playoffs. It's just that on top of the fact that it's so – I don't want to go over it again. You can rewatch the show. But I know. I know it will be fine. I'm ready for it. What happened? I don't know. Puka, I mean, yeah, but Gabe Davis, what happened? Gabe Davis is 2023 in a Bills uniform. The games he should do well, he doesn't. And all of a sudden, he pops up out of nowhere. He's one of the most predictable based on coverage players. Didn't happen. They love Dawson Knox coming back. They haven't liked Dawson Knox since they drafted him. 2023, man. Would you drop Herbert for Chase Brown? We pretty much talked about this. Rob has this pretty much the same exact question. I would be okay with it. And the only reason is because with Herbert, you're on a carousel with Foreman, who looks like the number one. But 2 weeks ago, Roschon looked like the number one. But Foreman wasn't playing. But Foreman's played the best. Chase Brown's the third down back. Who's going to mix in on first and second for Mixon. And he's somebody who's going to be their starter next year. And they want to get him as many reps as possible so that they can really see what they have, so they can make that correct decision in the offseason, which I think will be to let Mixon go, let somebody else sign him. Chase Brown's our guy. I think this is his audition for that number one role. Herbert, they drafted Roschon pretty much to replace him. They picked up Foreman to replace Montgomery. I'm fine with that. Fine with it. I don't know if you'd be able to sneak pick up. Keith, we said after week 11, answers with guests, week 11.5 before week 12, pick up Chase Brown. He's coming off IR. People forgot about him. He did pretty well week 13, did really well week 14. Everybody knows him now. The world is telling people to pick him up. Somebody's going to get him. You might have to use that number 2 waiver, or you just sit with Herbert. I don't think he's going to clear waivers. I don't. Unless it's an 8-man league. That's answers with guests. That's week 14.5. The playoffs are starting for you. And I hope that you win. I'll be rooting for Rob because I have to. We need some championships in ABG. And since I can't win any this year, I got to root for him. So best of luck to all of you. We will be back, I believe, Saturday morning. Please follow the page. Rob, you're here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are we still going to try for something Saturday morning? Before I sign off, is that what we're going to do? It looks like his text says his son has a basketball game at 9 a.m. He should be home at 11. We could probably do sometime in between noon and 3:30. I think there's football games on that day. There is football games on starting at 1. So why don't we do this? Let's do noon. Let's do noon. Stay tuned. Good luck this week.